Hi everybody and welcome back for another edition of Griz Tracks. I'm AJ Mazzolini here with the Missoulian.
And I'm Bill Speltz, Griz beat writer for the Missoulian.
And we're creeping ever closer toward opening day for the Grizzlies down in Wyoming. And before we get to that though, there are some new updates from practice as the Grizzlies have gone through their preseason drills. Some more guys actually getting back on the field because the injuries were a bit of a scare early on. Bill, update us on, we'll start with wide receiver. Who are the guys that are kind of back on the field and looking good now?
Well, the best news is that Jamal Jones is back, and he's a wide receiver. He only had one less catch than Ellis Henderson last year, and he's looking tremendous in practice, making some athletic, leaping catches.
And that'll be really important because Ellis Henderson is still sidelined, correct?
Right, and that's the biggest concern. Fans remember last year, back-to-back games, he made the big play. You think about Sac State, the overtime win, he caught the TD pass, and then a week later he runs 98 yards for the kickoff return against South Dakota. So they're without him. It doesn't look great right now. He's got a bacterial infection and in his stomach, and he's lost a little weight. It's hard to say if he'll be back this year.
Yeah, a pretty bizarre thing keeping him out of the lineup for practices. Not like a sprained ankle where you can kind of give a guy a few days off. We really don't know how long he might be out.
Definitely, and he's a great guy. I'm sure it's frustrating for him. This is something that's carried on for months.
Yeah, and so without his big play potential in the lineup for the Grizzlies, they're going to be looking to move the ball around to a few other guys, some guys that are trying to step up and fill that hole. Guys like Trayvon Vanhoose, who's splitting time a little bit between receiver and running back.
Right, AJ, and he's looked really good in practice as well. If you remember the first game last season, I think it was maybe his best game, or at least one of his best games, because he was healthy. And right now he's healthy.
And he wasn't healthy a lot of last year.
Exactly, right. A wrist injury bothered him all season. He had surgery in the off season. But he looks fast. He's taking more reps now at running back, and as you said, he's going to be playing some wide receiver.
Sure. And the running back position will be a little interesting this year as well, because those guys are trying to run behind that offensive line, which is still kind of learning itself and trying to get into a groove. Sounds like that. I mean, the running back and the running game may be a little more difficult this year than in times past.
Definitely. It's going to be a challenge. They do have a good stable of running backs with Jordan Canada and Trayvon Van, and John Wynn has looked good in practice. And I think it's worth noting that Jamal Wilson has another year. He has a year under his belt as a fullback, and he's a strictly blocking fullback. He says he feels a lot more comfortable knowing who to hit in the hole, and their interior line with a couple of guards and center, those three guys have varsity, have previous experience, so that'll help.
Right, it'll be a little on the outside that things might get a little dicey.
Exactly.
The other big story so far has been the kicking competition, which it doesn't look like we've got a winner yet, and that's a little worrisome as we're getting closer and closer to game time.
Yes, I'd hate to be the guy, AJ, to decide on that. The three of them, Chris Leiter, Daniel Sullivan, and Harrison Greenberg, have all had their moments where they've looked good, but very inconsistent. And it goes from day to day, and sometimes even during a practice, one will look like he's definitely the starter, and then he'll fall off toward the end of practice. So, if you look at it from a standpoint of who has the best leg, I think Daniel Sullivan has the best leg, but Chris Leiter, who has the most experience, is a little more consistent.
Yeah, and he had the starting job for most of last season. Had some good things, but also some bad things. So they're not willing to just rest on him just because he's got experience. It's still open.
Definitely, it's one of those decisions that I guess Mick's going to have to make it. Coach Mick Delaney is going to have to make it sooner or later, and I wish him the best with that one.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if those guys are still splitting a little bit of time through that Wyoming game, maybe the first few weeks, as they're trying to figure out who's going to be taking all the kicks. And again, that Wyoming game is coming up August 30th in Laramie on the road. The Grizzlies will open at home the following week, that game that they got against Central Washington. And we'll be back with Griz Tracks every Thursday evening to keep you updated on all things Grizzly football, and keep up with us online and in print with the Missoulian. Thanks for watching.